Hello and welcome once again to our family workshop. Now in this video we're showing you the absolute basics for anyone who's interested in learning wood carving. So to start off, we're going to go through three things, and that's the wood, the setup and the tools. So we're using a little piece of mahogany. We find that we're working as a family workshop predominantly in hardwoods. You'll notice then that we've secured it in the vise, and the reason for this, it allows us to get both hands onto the tool and cut away from ourselves, but also my backhand, I am right-handed, so my right hand is pushing the gouge and my left hand is controlling the gouge. Now, just talking a little bit about the wood again, the most popular choice when you're starting is basswood, lime, but there are so many other options. So we always suggest try basswood and lime for your first attempts. If it doesn't suit you, find some other timbers and give it a go. So let's get into it. Let's show you some of the absolute basics of learning wood carving. If you are starting to learn wood carving, in terms of tools, I would suggest to have a couple of fingernail gouges. What we mean by fingernail gouges are gouges with a little curve in them. So you need either a vise or a clamp or some method of securing your wood, a few fingernail gouges and some wood. That is as much as you need to get started. So we start off by marking our design onto the wood itself. Our wood we've marked with a vertical grain. Just makes it easier for carving, and also your projects are stronger with a vertical grain as opposed to a horizontal grain. Now the carving I'm doing is a very simple 5-petaled flower, but the principles that we use, they are the same for most of the wood carving that we are doing. So we mark out our petals, and these guidelines, just as we use guidelines on the scroll saw, when you are learning wood carving, guidelines can help you out a lot. If you don't want to use them, no problem at all. It just helps you out as you learn wood carving. So you mark all of those guidelines on the wood, but remember, it's in the name, they are guidelines. They're just there to help us out. So as I mentioned, we're using 2 fingernail gouges with different curves on the sweep of the gouge. I'm also using a mallet. You don't need a mallet. You can use hand pressure or just a block of wood. So let's start off. The method that we use to do our wood carving, we measure out our stop cuts. We then angle the gouge over and we give it 3 taps on the top. Nice and simple. The same for the other side of our center. We measure it out, we angle it over, and we give it 3 little taps on the top. So that marks out the center of our flower. Now notice the reason that I angle the gouge over is if we carve straight down or across there, we're gonna pop out our center. We're gonna cut that out, and we want that left in position. So that is the reason that we angle our gouge over. It's so this piece of wood has enough strength to stay in position. So let's now mark out the outline for the petals of our flower. So the same as the center, you measure it out, angle the gouge over, and then 3 taps on the top. Same for the other side, measure it out, angle it over, and 3 taps on the top. So we're going to continue and do all of our stop cuts around the outside of our flower. So again, we measure it out and cut down into the woods. Measure it out, angle it over, and mark our stop cut on the woods. Same then on the bottom, measure it out, angle the gouge over, and cut out the stop cuts. And then we're finishing off, angle that gouge over, just like so. Now to start off, you want a nice, sympathetic, easy carving piece of wood. As I mentioned, this is a piece of recycled mahogany, but a good quality mahogany for carving. Now that we've got our basic outline with all of our stop cuts marked out, we can go on to our next stage of learning wood carving. So use that stop cut as a barrier. So find the cutting angle of your gouge, cut into that stop cut, and then pull the gouge straight back. And that is the fundamentals of wood carving. Find that cutting angle, push the gouge into that stop cut, and then pull it back. The reason then we have the wood secured inside a vise is because it means it's not moving round. We're able to get both hands onto the tool, which means we're not cutting towards our hand because we're cutting away from ourselves with both hands behind the blade. It's the same process and on the inside, cut into the center using that stop cut as a barrier, cut in, pull the gouge back, just like so. If you are left with little bits of wood where you've cut your stop cut, all you need to do is to cut your stop cut deeper into the wood and then cut the little bit of wood that was left over out. So once you have done all of your cuts in the one direction as much as you can, we then turn it around in the vise and we do all of our stop cuts in the opposite direction. So you find that cutting angle, cut into the edge of the petal. If there's a bit of wood left, cut further down into the stop cut to make it bigger. Same the other side, cut into that edge, just like so. Now when you are learning wood carving, if you choose to learn carving a simple flower like we are here, you might make a few mistakes. You might pop petals out, that's no problem. You just carve everything else deeper into the wood to match it. You might have a situation where you have a gap at the bottom because the petals are slightly too small. Again, this is no problem. All you do, you can put a little stem on your flower. You might have a situation where you pop the middle of your flower out. Again, just carve deeper into the woods. The process of learning wood carving, a big aspect to it is learning how to deal with situations where something doesn't go according to plan. It is a process of being able to use any little mistakes that might have happened. So you can see we're just working into our stop cuts, take away the bit of wood that you don't want. So we're taking away the waste wood that we don't want until we are left with the design that we want. There we are. So all I'm going to do to finish off, we're just going to sand away any pencil lines that are left over, sanding in the direction of the grain, and for everyone to see, we're just going to put a little bit of oil on there so you will be able to see that simple carving that we've made using those simple wood carving methods. Now let us know in the comments section if you are learning wood carving or you are interested in learning wood carving, let us know any questions that you've got. We'd be delighted to help you out. If that's useful, don't forget to give us a thumbs up. If you're new here as well and you like what you see, don't forget to subscribe and to ring that bell so you know when we upload another video. And as always, thank you again for watching.